heard Italians say things like,
Si mangia bene qui.
you eat well here, or
Si dice che sia vero.
they say it's true, and wonder who they are talking about? This is the so-called si impersonale, a clever way to talk about general ideas or habits without naming anyone specifically. In this lesson, you'll learn step by step the structure of the si impersonale, when and why Italians use it in everyday conversations, and how to use it confidently with reflexive verbs, modal verbs, and much more. We'll also compare the differences between si impersonale and si passivante. Here's a little tip, it's more subtle than you think. But here's the kicker, did you know that there's a tiny change in the rules when the si impersonale meets reflexive verbs? Stay with me to uncover this little trick. It's a game changer for fluency in Italian. And don't worry about taking notes, I've done all the hard work for you. To help you to practice everything you're about to learn here today, make sure you download your free PDF cheat sheet, which includes all the vocabulary and examples from this lesson. Just click on the link in the description box below this video. Pronti? Are you ready? Iniziamo! Let's get started. Let's start with, what is the si impersonale in Italian? Well, the si impersonale, or the impersonal si, is one of the many uses of the pronoun si in Italian. It's a grammatical construction that's incredibly common in everyday conversation to express universal truths, habits, or situations in a general way, without referring to a specific subject. In English, it often translates to expressions like they say, or you can, or one does. The word impersonale perfectly reflects its meaning. It comes from the Latin term
Impersonalis.
which literally translates to not personal. Look at these two example sentences.
Mike parla italiano.
Mike speaks Italian. Here, Mike is the clear subject.
In Italia si parla italiano.
In Italy, people speak Italian. In this case, there is no specific subject, and si translates to something like people or everyone in a general sense. Now here are three key characteristics of the si impersonale, that is, the impersonal si. The si impersonale in Italian is categorized by these three elements. The first one is the generic subject. Now, although si looks like a reflexive pronoun, trust me, it's not, it actually serves as a different function in this construction. Unlike the reflexive si, which refers to a specific subject, like himself or herself, the si in si impersonale acts as an indefinite subject, equivalent to words like
Tutti.
everybody,
La gente.
people,
Le persone.
people, and so on. Take a look at these examples.
Si vive meglio al mare.
One lives better by the sea.
Si dorme meglio quando fa più fresco.
One sleeps better when it's cooler. The next element is the verb in the third person singular. Now, verbs that follow the si impersonale are always conjugated in the third person singular and can be either intransitive verbs, which don't take a direct object. For example,
Con la macchina si arriva più velocemente.
by car, one arrives more quickly. Transitive verbs, which typically take a direct object. However, in the si impersonale construction, the direct object is not present. For example,
In questa trattoria si mangia bene.
in this trattoria, people eat well. And thirdly, we have the flexibility. The si impersonale construction can be used with all tenses, presente, imperfetto, passato remoto, and moods, indicativo, congiuntivo, condizionale, making it adaptable to various contexts. Now, are you enjoying this lesson? Don't let the learning stop here. Make sure you download your free PDF cheat sheet, which you'll find a link to in the description box below this video. Let's move on and see how to form the si impersonale. Now, building sentences with the si impersonale in Italian is quite simple. Here are a key few rules to follow. For simple tenses, which are formed with just one word, like the present, imperfect, passato remoto, and the future, the construction is straightforward. Take a look. Si plus the verb in the third person singular. For example,
A Natale si mangia il panettone in Italia.
at Christmas, people eat panettone in Italy.
La domenica si mangia tutti insieme.
On Sundays, people eat together. Compound tenses, which are formed with more than one word, like the passato prossimo or the future perfect, the si impersonale requires the auxiliary verb essere, to be, and follows this construction. Si plus essere in the third person singular plus the past participle. Now the past participle changes based on the verb. Firstly, verbs that require the auxiliary verb avere, to have, in the personal form, use the masculine singular form of the past participle with the si impersonale. For example,
L'estate scorsa si è viaggiato tanto.
last summer, people traveled a lot.
Alla festa di Carla si è mangiato davvero tanto.
At Carla's party, people ate a lot. Then we have verbs that require the auxiliary essere, to be, in the personal form. They use the plural masculine form of the past participle with the si impersonale. Take a look.
Ieri sera si è stati fuori fino a tardi a festeggiare.
Last night, people were out celebrating until late.
Si è partiti presto per evitare il traffico.
People left early to avoid the traffic. Now, to learn more about how and when to use the passato prossimo in Italian, make sure you watch my video lesson right here. Now, in Italian, reflexive verbs already include the reflexive pronoun si in their structure. When used in the impersonal form, the si impersonale changes to ci to avoid the repetition of saying si twice in the sentence. So the structure becomes ci plus the reflexive si plus the verb in the third person singular. For example,
In Italia a Capodanno si veste di rosso.
becomes
In Italia a Capodanno ci si veste di rosso.
in Italy on New Year's Eve, people dress in red.
Con quella guida si diverte sempre.
Becomes
Con quella guida ci si diverte sempre.
with that guide, people always have fun. In compound tenses, the auxiliary verb remains essere, and the past participle usually takes the masculine plural form. For example,
Ci si è vestiti di fretta e furia per non fare tardi.
people got dressed quickly in a rush so as not to be late.
Non ci si è chiesti cosa sarebbe successo.
No one asked what would have happened. Now, to learn more about how and when to use reflexive verbs in Italian, make sure you watch my video lesson right here. Let's move on to how we use the si impersonale with modal verbs. Now, modal verbs take the third person singular form and are followed by a verb in the infinitive form. Take a look. The structure becomes si plus the modal verb in the third person singular plus the verb in the infinitive form. For example,
Si deve provare sempre.
one must always try.
Si vuole giocare domani.
They want to play tomorrow.
Non si può fumare qui.
Smoking is not allowed here. Now, when using this construction with compound tenses, the modal verb is conjugated in the past participle singular masculine. Take a look. Si plus essere in the third person singular plus the past participle of the modal verb plus the verb in the infinitive form. Take a look at these examples.
Durante la visita non si è potuto telefonare.
During the visit, people couldn't make phone calls.
Si è dovuto attendere fuori al freddo.
One had to wait outside in the cold.
Si è voluto fare così.
They wanted to do things this way. Now let's move on to how we use the si impersonale with pronouns. Now, when using the si impersonale with pronouns, the word order can seem tricky at first, But don't worry, once you learn these two basic rules, it becomes quite easy to master. Now, the si impersonale always goes right before the verb. Other pronouns are placed before the si. For example,
Le si è detto di aspettare.
she was told to wait.
Non mi si deve scrivere qui.
People shouldn't write me here.
Anche se ci si è stati di recente, ogni volta è come la prima.
Even if one has been there recently, every time is like the first. With pronominal verbs that contain the pronoun ne, the si impersonale changes to se and always goes before ne. Take a look.
Non se ne parla.
It's not up for discussion.
Non se ne viene a capo.
No one can come to a conclusion.
Quando ci si arrabbia, se ne dicono di tutti i colori.
When people get angry, they say all sorts of things. In more complex sentences, where the si impersonale combines with two or more pronouns, the word order follows this pattern. Indirect or reflexive pronoun, changing the ending to e, plus the direct object pronoun, plus the si impersonale. For example,
Ve lo si legge in faccia.
it's clear from your faces.
Te lo si dice sempre.
People always tell you that. Now, to learn more about how and when to use all pronouns in Italian, make sure you watch my lesson right here. Moving on to the si impersonale with adjectives. Now, when the si impersonale construction is followed by an adjective, the adjective must be in the plural masculine form, even though the verb remains in the third person singular. Take a look.
Si è stanchi dopo una giornata per musei.
One is tired after a day at the museums.
Quando si è curiosi, si impara sempre qualcosa di nuovo.
When one is curious, they always learn something new. Now, if you're talking about women in general, then the adjective can be in the plural feminine form. Take a look.
Si è stufe di non essere ascoltate.
Women are tired of not being listened to.
Si è deluse per le risposte.
Women are disappointed by the responses. Are you enjoying this lesson? Don't let the learning stop here. Make sure you download your free PDF cheat sheet, which you'll find a link to in the description box below this video. Okay, now let's take a look at 6 common uses of this si impersonale in Italian. Now, these are the most common scenarios where you'll encounter the si impersonale in Italian. The first one is to make generic statements and express general truths or facts. For example,
Nel sud Italia si cena tardi.
in southern Italy, people have dinner late.
Si impara dagli errori.
One learns from their mistakes. 2. To talk about trends, either current or long-standing. For example,
Oggigiorno si lavora molto da remoto.
nowadays remote work is very common.
Una volta non si viaggiava così facilmente.
In the past, people didn't travel so easily. To state rules or guidelines or things that are not allowed. For example,
Qui non si fuma.
smoking is not allowed here.
Non si entra senza biglietto.
You cannot enter without a ticket. To ask or explain how to do something or how to get somewhere. For example,
Come si arriva al Colosseo da qui?
how do you get to the Colosseum from here?
Si fa così. Guarda.
You do it like this. Look. Now, to find out more about how to ask and give directions in Italian, make sure you watch my video lesson right here. We also use it to talk about abstract ideas or speculative scenarios. For example,
Si può essere felici senza amore?
can one be happy without love?
Come si vive senza tecnologia?
How does one live without technology? It's also used to keep things impersonal and discreet when you want to discuss rumours or share information in a vague way without naming names. Common expressions are
Si dice.
it is said,
Si sa.
it is known, and
Si pensa.
it is thought. Here are some examples.
Si sa chi è stato, ma nessuno lo dice.
Everyone knows who did it, but no one is saying it.
Si pensa che sia stata la sorella.
People think it was the sister. Now let's take a look at understanding the difference between the si impersonale and the si passivante in Italian. Now, a common source of confusion in Italian grammar is the use of the pronoun si in both impersonal and passive sentences. But while these constructions may appear similar due to their patterns, they serve distinct purposes. The si impersonale is used to make general statements or describe habits, customs, or actions without specifying a subject. For example, in the sentence,
Durante I caldi mesi estivi si beve di più.
during the warm summer months, people drink more. The focus is on the general habit of drinking more during the summer without indicating who specifically does the drinking. The si passivante, on the other hand, is used to create the passive voice in Italian without mentioning who performs the action. The emphasis in this case is on the object being acted upon, as in,
Durante l'estate si mangiano molti gelati.
during the summer, a lot of gelato is eaten. Now, to distinguish them, focus on the verb that comes with si. If the verb is intransitive or transitive without an object, it's a si impersonale construction. If the verb is transitive with a clear object and it's conjugated either in the third person singular or plural, it's a passive construction. Take a look at this table. Si impersonale, intransitive verb, only the third person singular.
Si parte alle 8.
One leaves at 8 o'clock. Transitive verb with no object, only third person singular.
In estate si beve molto.
In summer, people drink a lot. Si passivante, transitive verb with object, third person singular or plural.
Qui si mangia la fiorentina.
Here you can eat the Florentine steak.
Stanotte si vedono le stelle.
Tonight you can see the stars. Now, to learn more about how and when to use the si passivante in Italian, make sure you watch my video lesson right here. And to continue learning and to help you practice everything that we've learned here today, make sure you download your free PDF cheat sheet for this lesson, which you'll find a link to in the description box below this video. If you enjoyed this lesson, then you'll love Intrepid Italian, my series of online self-paced video courses that break down everything you need to know about Italian using my unique 80-20 method. More details in the description below. Now, if you enjoyed this lesson, don't miss my lesson on how to use all 15 tenses in Italian, which you can watch right here. Plus, if you want to master Italian word order and sentence structure, make sure you watch my video lesson right here. In the meantime, hit that like button, subscribe to my channel, and turn on those notifications so you get an alert when I post more video lessons like this one. Until next time, un abbraccio. Ciao!